Alright, good morning, everybody. Alright. Good morning. Alright, I didn't find any good tutorials this morning, so I thought I'd maybe do some reference stuff here. Some interesting outfits up here. So, that's what I grabbed. Well, it's actually pretty basic, but I'll try to complete it at the top. Good morning. Everybody popping in. Alright, 1 second here. Alright, where was I? Sketching, huh? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Alright, that goes back there. Alright. Alright, get that lined up properly. Oh no, fell out. Must be time for a new piece of lead, huh? Alright, more lead. Oop. Excuse me. Whew. Alright, that goes down here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I guess we'll do some music. All right. Good morning. That's the wrong way. There we go. There we go. morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard. Photo thing. I was gonna do somebody's tutorial, but I was looking around. I didn't really see anything that caught my eye. So figured grab a costume study here. More of a fashion study, I guess. So that's what we got rolling here this morning. So, what's going on with your morning study? That's always the question, right? Knitting. You can't see the face in the actual photograph here, so I just stuck a standard one up there. Studying mushrooms, huh? You gonna start knitting mushrooms? Is that what's gonna go on here? You know, some mushrooms have small circles on them. Just saying, you know. Little dots. You're not afraid of dots? Oh, holes. I see. So it's like a cow trying to walk across a grate. In the United States, if you go out to the west, they'll have, you know, cattle will be out in the national forests or the parks or whatever, and they keep them inside the gates, so there'll be like an open gate, but the gate will have like a grate on it. It's not really that deep or anything, and they probably wouldn't get their feet caught in it, but it kind of looks like they might to the cow. And so, because cow eyesight is so bad, there's places where they just have the stripes that look like the grate on the ground. And so the cattle won't cross it because they think it's got depth when it doesn't have any depth, because they don't have any depth perception. Or not very good eyesight for that anyway. And that's a whole, keeps them inside. They don't realize that they can cross without any trouble at all. Isn't even a grate there, it's just stripes on the ground. Who knows, maybe. But that's, doesn't help that, cows aren't very smart either, but, I mean, they're smarter than horses, but, they're still not, Yes. Oh, good morning over there on the kick, Tara. I wondered. Hope you're ready for an exciting week. I think I've got my last major kind of school activity of the year today. So we're finalizing our paperwork stuff for the illustration concentration. I think it was a circle inside of a circle. That's probably the problem, right? So there was. So it looked like that, I guess, would be the. I think I still have that shirt. I can go get it if you'd like. I haven't worn it that often. I need to buy it. Wanted to buy some new clothes. Well, I bought some a while ago, but I was gonna. I usually like to buy like a bunch around Christmas time or Black Friday, but I didn't see that much for sale this year. Usually just like every like 2 or 3 years I'll like do a big buy for that kind of clothing, and I just didn't see anything this year, or earlier this year I guess, so I didn't buy nothing. But I do need stuff. Oh yeah, I have a friend. She's in England now. She got married a couple of years ago, but she Hong Konger. And she works for Hermes, and she was always offering to have me come do their employee sale. Come check out what they have there. Dress me up all in Hermes. And I was like, I don't know. She did give me. They had those Chinese drums, little hand drums, and they I guess they gave one of those out to their well, they were giving those out to their employees. But it was made of like leftover Hermes fabrics. She gave that to me. She's worked for them a long time. She do like public relations stuff. But yeah, I should have done that. I don't know what it would have cost me for something there. I think that's part what freaked me out. I was like, oh, even if it's like, employee sale, um, you know, could still be really, really expensive. I just didn't want to be put in that situation. I'm like, I know it's really cheap and all, but it's too much for me. I'm simple, simple SCAD professor, not a banker. So, yeah, I wondered what it would cost. I never asked. I probably should have said, hey, what's the price range for stuff here during this sale? But still, I have this cool drum that I have downstairs. All right, let's see, 41. Yeah, I'd sent her pictures of Hermes's around the world. You know, when I was traveling more back then, and I said, these things are like McDonald's; they're everywhere. And she didn't think that was very funny. You know, making fun of her dear Hermes. Don't want to do that, right? I thought it was funny though. So, oh, let's see. 15 minutes left, huh? Let's see, what do we got down here? Should probably save that somewhere, huh? It's a bit complicated, but I want to save that for later. What to do? Maybe some hands? I'll stick these over here. So let's scoot that over a little bit. I'd like. Good morning. This should be pretty good as practice, right? Good morning, Mr. Lego, my ego. All right. Inking time. Everybody ready for an exciting week in front of you? So I'm just about to finish this off, so. I was hoping to be doing something else tomorrow, but that's currently been put on hold, so. We're going to go out and visit this radio telescope out in West Virginia. That got put on hold. Which I was excited about. It's a big telescope out there. I forget the name. The Green something or the Green River, Green something. Gonna stay out there, take a little tour, put us up on the campus. Hello, Omar. Good morning. Let's get a different angle on this, so scooting over a little bit. It's my morning study warm-ups. That's what we got going on here. So I had to get up and spend about an hour warming up, and sometimes I'll come on later for more creative stuff, but this is kind of how I like to start my day. So that's what we got rolling. It's good to get up and have a thing to do first thing in the morning. I've been delaying my starts a little bit. I should be starting this like around 6:30 or something rather than maybe 7 or 8, but hopefully that'll change this week with the completion of this phase of a big project we've been working on, so at my university. and technically off contract already, but you know, this is exception though. So it varies what I'll be looking at. Sometimes I'm looking at other people's tutorials, sometimes photo reference stuff like this. Other times be studying art books. So, like last fall, I was going through Tara Whitlatch's, I think, Science of Creature Design. She's got 3 books. I just can't remember always which one it is, but I think it's the Science of Creature Design. Lots of animal anatomy and invented stuff, but just part of the morning warm up. I've been doing it on brown paper, so I can use the white whiteout stuff that I have as the leader. Kind of using the brown as the foundational value or tone, and then I can add on the light. It always has a nice effect. Actually, well, before I close this jar, let's put the date on here. So we'll be finishing up here in just a minute. So we got 250519 bed ref. So I'm using my, I like the brown paper thing a lot. You know, there's grays work really well. There's other colors too, but in terms of like the sketchbooks, you have the brown or the gray, and then you have like ones that are multicolored, but the paper has like a kind of a particular kind of tooth on it. Or you can buy individual sheets, like the Canson Tientes, I think is how you say it. It's funny, I was having to explain to our department chair why we want to include that as part of the figure drawing class. And and the real value, like, you know, is understanding about value. And so, the typical way you do drawing is, you put graphite or whatever, charcoal on white paper, and that's called subtractive. So basically what you do is you put the charcoal down and then you subtract charcoal from the surface to create light. And that's a subtractive method. So additive is where you do things like I'm doing right now, where you add in light and it kind of pops a certain way. And so I think it's one of the things that happens is when you approach, especially if you're interested in kind of painting or drawing in general, or illustration, being able to approach how you add the light in different ways improves your ability to understand and manipulate it, which makes you a better illustrator, rather than just having one way of putting light into an image. You've got different ones, and you can kind of assess what they do. Yeah, and so I think it's really important to do that, but I was just shocked that I had to explain this to someone, who's an artist, Um, I keep thinking that people should understand certain things better than they do. I just assume that, that I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the room. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, what is going on where, I'm the only one that speaks up about this or understands it. But I found in faculty meetings I tend to be the one who does speak up. Maybe that's going to get me in trouble. It's like I was told, that like we don't want to do oil painting because we don't have proper facilities in that, right? Because it's oil paint has certain toxic properties, right? You can't. It's hard to get away from the off gassing from the paint drying and the turpentine. You can do certain things to kind of ameliorate that effect, but you can't ever quite get rid of it, which is just one of the hazards of working with real materials. But you get off gassing off of acrylic too, so it's not like that's 100% safe. It off gases formaldehyde and ammonia, and so it's like, but it wouldn't be that hard to set up a situation where we can have something in that room approved, and would be safe to use with oil, and oil's really nice to work with. But again, I just feel like I'm talking to people who don't understand certain things very well. Well, the rooms I have access to in my major are not that well ventilated. Apparently, we can open windows and things in probably the building I'll be in. And there's certain mediums that we can use that cut back on the if we don't have to use turpentine, for example, they can use baby oil. You just have to make sure you squeeze all the baby oil out, right? You can't leave it in there, otherwise it doesn't dry. But and then we can use things like walnut alkyd in place of like liquid, and that'll be far less it's far less toxic than those other things. There's just walnut oil that's been dried a little bit, been exposed to the air. Trying to be a lot of like health issues with students these days too. A lot of accommodations and things, which it's funny. Like I had a student who was arguing with me about like how good they are for how it's necessary, because one of the ones we have is like we're supposed to give them 2 extra unexcused absences or 2 excused absences. If they need to go see a doctor or have an emergency situation or something like that, they're not getting affected by this. But a student I know who has some apparent, obvious kind of physical disabilities was explaining to me that no, that's really, really necessary because of XYZ. But this student never misses any class, like ever. Like, I was just like, well, you don't ever miss any class, but it seems like of all the students I have who have, issues, you would be the one, and you never miss any class. So, maybe it's just something I'm missing there, but yeah. But anyway, that's my thought too. It's like oil painting is just really useful. You open up an illustration annual of any kind, and there's a lot of oil work in there. Even though there's a lot of digital, there's still a lot of oil going on. Yeah, theoretically, they're supposed to revamp our building, but I don't know when that'll happen. I've recommended we get some temporary kind of portable room filters, because they have like these filters you can get that are these are air filters that are, I don't know, like they're pretty big, but they're you can port them around the room and put them where you want, and they'll clean the air for you. But I kind of got vague answers on that from facilities people, so I probably should push back on that a little bit more, because they're not that expensive, especially compared to like a big HVAC system or something like that. That would cost them $100,000 to install. But that's one of the problems we deal with, is just like it costs a lot to install things. Oh, look, we got someone who's annoying. We will get rid of that person. And let's see. Where's our page up here? Not there. There you are. And bam. Make sure you're banned on the other one too. Yep, you're banned over there. Perfect. And one more spot. Delete message. There we go. Poof. But yeah, so we'll see, because like, supposed to be teaching an illustration class in the fall, so it's different than what I've been doing. And I'd like it to be all oil. I think that'd be really good. But a lot of people kind of like there are people who are chemically sensitive, and you have to be wary of that. But it's not like that's most people most of the time. It's usually a very, very small person. Just mostly because that person just thought they'd be clever coming in here to say something terrible. But well, yeah, there's a new study, speaking of AI stuff, before I finish up here, but a study of 7,000 businesses, which seems like a pretty good sample size, right? They found that there was little to no, if not a decrease in productivity from employees using AI chatbots. So, so far, no additive to that. There's also a new one that came out disproving another recent study. So there was a recent study that showed like some improvements in kind of middle and higher level reasoning and thinking skills with the use of AI kind of as a training. And but there's a new study that came out about a week after that, which was just like the other day, and basically disproves that one entirely. There's some significant biases in the study, and if you remove the biases, there's no difference. It doesn't affect anything. And that's the thing. It's like all the stuff you see people talking about AI doing is like stuff we're already capable of that we don't really need more of, and kind of trying to impose it on people because they have a dream of it doing certain things doesn't reflect reality. But anyway, I'm going to call it there. Hopefully be back maybe later today. We'll see. But I appreciate everybody that came in. And